Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome again to our precious series. And today we are going to cover the control number 5, which is about secure configuration. But before we proceed, we have a special WhatsApp number at the bottom right. You can ask us anything. And we have a special group shown in the description of this video. You can join to have timely updates of what is happening in this channel without forgetting to subscribe, of course, if you are serious about cybersecurity. So let us proceed. Now, what are secure configurations? As a control, of course, for cybersecurity. Here we are talking about establishment and maintenance of proper configuration that address security of your assets. And we are talking about all enterprise assets here. We are not just focusing on one side. If it's server, end user devices, IoT devices, operating system application, all these are not supposed to be used as they are. And there are reasons for this. One of the major reasons is if you have any asset from the market and you have put it in your given infrastructure, you know for sure the configuration there are meant for ease of use, not for security. The manufacturer has tried to make sure that when they distribute their given assets, people can use it with convenience. Now, in experience, you will know that in security, there has to be a trade between convenience or ease of use and security. Now, the more easy something to be used is, it can, not necessary, but it can also means that the given thing is not secure. Take me clear, I don't always means that as long as something is easy to use, then it's unsecure. No. But sometimes the ease of use compromise security. And this is the case for the assets that we buy from the market. That's why we are not supposed to use them as they are. Because of ease of use, they have some open ports, they have some pre-installed service that you may not need them. They may have a protocol that is easy to use, but it's obsolete. Yeah, all these stuffs, if are not taken clear or if are used as they are, they provide a window for you to be exploited. And this is clear because as long as they are default, everyone knows them. If, for instance, you have bought a device like a switch and you are using it as it is, or let's say you have installed MySQL database, you have default user as root, as anonymous, and you are just using it as is, everyone knows that there is a user in MySQL database that is called anonymous. So you have making it easy for him to brute forcing you because they are not supposed to guess the username. They already know it. They are trying to guess the password. That's why having this establishment and maintenance of proper configuration that are addressing security is a crucial and a very important key or control that you need to address in your given environment. And something to take here, this thing is not the thing that you're doing to once and for all. Like maybe I'm installing Windows operating system. So during the installation of that server operating system in my machines, I'm hardening it. Then I'm done. No, this is something that has been to be continuous throughout the life cycle of your given asset. And the reason for it that you may have make it secure by the time that you have been installing it, but sometimes later you update the software, or sometimes later there is a patch, you put it in your given operating system. Those those updates, they come sometimes with things that modify the configuration. So taking for granted that you did it once and you have made this manipulation, you may end up being in the very position that you were trying to be away from. And this is not the only case, but also sometimes this vendor report there is this vulnerability. So even if you have secured it, you have to address that particular vulnerability. This is all addressed about the secure configuration because some vulnerabilities are just solved by putting some configuration or reconfiguring the devices in the way that they were configured to be compromised. And not only this, and this is very surprising, but it's happened. Sometimes you may be in a situation that you have secured your asset, but due to some requirement or operation requirement, you have to do something which that secure configuration prevents you from doing it. And we have experienced, and we experienced this so often. Like you may want to access a service, but somehow a firewall is not allowing you in. So you find that the admin take it for granted now because the firewall is the problem. they take it down. That's why secure configuration has to be there throughout the cycle. You don't just do it once. It has to be something that has been doing routinely, so that whenever there is a change, you can detect it and you can address it. And I can say this is one of very, very, very important control. If we are doing this well, we improve our security posture to a very, very great extent than just taking devices or software, installing or plug them and start to use them as they are. And here, not just modifying one or two things, everything that has been to be addressed, you have to address it, as we are going to see it. Now, how are you going to do it? We know that you can't be that much experienced to know for every device and every application that is commonly used, this parameter has to be tweaked this way, has to be configured that way. That task is not easy. It needs some expert who are experienced in the field. And that's why we need to have the first approach of finding the best public accessible and vetted configuration baseline. And then from there, you can use it as it is, or if you see that you need to do some tweaking about it to confirm it with your policy or regulation, then you can do it rather than starting from scratch. And of course, for most of us, it's not an easy task that you can send to considered everything about Windows configuration, but people have already done it for us. So we can start it from there. And when you are doing this, you have to consider it on both sides. The first side, you need to have a mechanism for you first to detect. If you scan a device or you scan a given operating system, you can detect that for this given asset, based on my used baselines, there is this, there is this and this and this configuration are not proper. So the first mechanism you need to have is a detection. You need to have a mechanism to detect which configuration that was to be supposed in a certain way based on your guidelines is not as it is. That is the first phase. The second phase, you need to have other mechanism now to enforce it, because you have to detect. You can't just start it from scratch doing everything. No, you have baselines, then you have to have a mechanism to detect what of the baseline parameters are not there, and those which are not there, how can you enforce them? So this is how it's supposed to be approached. Now, what are things to consider, or what are the safeguards? Now, this area is very big, as we are going to see. Of course, I know some of us, we have heard it, but we have more heard it of in the way like server hardening. Yeah, it is server hardening, but it is more than the way that most of us we have heard it. And it is more than for server. This consists of every asset that is in your IT infrastructure. You need to have baseline configuration for it and to enforce them. So you need to have this configuration established, and then you have to enforce them. Now, for the case of this series, we are going to see implementation about this. And of course, we are going to use, as we saw from the beginning, our focus is CIS critical security control. And these guys also have the benchmark, have the baseline for secure configuration for almost all common application and operating system and devices. So we are not going to start from our own. We are going to use what experts have already established for us. So for us, we are going to start by having manual configuration. Then we are going to move further to put those configuration in an automated way, because we know if you have like a Windows, there maybe like 100 parameters you have to put it. Configuring them one by one in Windows or in Linux is tiresome. So how can you going to automate it? We are going to see also this side of the coin. That's the breeze about this series, because we are giving you things that you can really implement it. And at the end of this, at the end of the implementation of this control, we are going to recommend the best approach, because you are going to see that doing these things are kind of tiresome, being it manual or same automated. So we are going to see how can we full automated. So you just scan it and you push it.